Our guest today is producer, talent, casting director, Glenn Nelson. But don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
One day, somebody pulled in the drive. He walked up on the porch. I thought, we were awful short to be a cop. He said, I had some questions for you.
How are you today, Miss King?
Can I help you?
I'm Detective Todd Harwood with the Kentucky State Police.
Detective Harwood has recently been assigned to take a fresh look at cold cases. And as the ex-girlfriend of Kyle Breeden, Susan is at the top of his list of people to speak to.
And that's when I invited him in.
Do you play the guitar, Miss King?
I sure do.
How long have you been playing for?
Well, my dad
started teaching me to play.
Miss King, I have information from the 1998 report that there were 2 bullet holes found in your kitchen floor. You mind if I take a look?
Not at all. So right this way.
You mind explaining to me how these bullet holes got here?
He sees 4 bullet holes, not just 2, 4. He had seen, but now when he's in her house in 2000.
Well, my friend was dating this guy named Bo.
How many shots did you say?
I don't remember exactly how many times I fired it.
That house had bullet holes in it when we moved in it.
People love their guns around here.
Out in the country like that,
All right. I think that's it, ma'am. I appreciate it.
I thought, well, he's all right.
Susan Jean King,
Can I help you?
we have a warrant to search the property.
Detective Harwood obtains a search warrant.
All right, gentlemen, kitchen's to the right. And make sure it's the kitchen floor. Miss King, you need to get in my car now.
All right, welcome back. My guest today is local actor Glenn Nelson. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Tell us about where you grew up. I know in Silver Spring area.
Silver Spring area, mostly PG County, Montgomery County area, pretty much throughout Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up?
It was unique. I grew up in an area that was very multicultural, so I had quite a different upbringing and outlook on life than maybe my parents from a different generation, my grandparents from a different generation. So a lot of different cultures in my neighborhood, especially in PG County, different races, different cultures, ethnicities.
Well, that's good because choosing a profession as an actor, just having that experience, you can understand people a little better and a little bit more affinity for who they are and their background.
Absolutely.
What's your preferred medium? Are you film, television?
Film and
print?
television.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know BS from Bachelor of Science from Towson University.
BS, yeah.
Okay.
Totally bullcrap.
Yeah, total bullcrap.
But I have a bachelor's in film and TV production, so I've spent a lot of time behind the camera, writing, directing, producing, editing, a lot of camera work, and just recently, within the last 5 years, I've decided to branch out into acting. And at first, it started off as a way to maybe fill in the schedule, and quite a few years there, it was the whole schedule was acting.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit of crew work.
Yeah.
And
just tougher to get the crew work?
it depends. So I also enlisted in the DC Army National Guard in 2011, and just kind of like a part-time job. Travel, expand my horizons, work on my discipline, professionalism, and that sort of thing. And I wanted to serve my country as well in some capacity. I was a little too old for, I enlisted at 31, so I was a little too old for active duty. The National Guard scooped me up, and they had plenty of slots for military police, so that's what I jumped into. And I realized that it was a great kind of acting school for law enforcement and military roles as far as acting goes.
Okay.
And I had a number of colleagues of mine that we've co-produced a bunch of music videos, short films, independent films, things of that nature, that left Maryland and moved out to LA, New York, Albuquerque, New Mexico, started acting. And so I kind of got the acting bug myself and figured I'll get some easy headshots done, start applying to some of these acting gigs. They're looking for cops, detectives, soldiers of some sort. And for maybe 3 straight years, it was all acting.
Okay.
And then just recently, I started getting back into some crew work.
So it wasn't one of those moments where you're behind the camera and you're watching an actor or actress going, oh, wait, I need to be doing that? Or did you have one of those moments? That happened with me in theater, doing tech work, set design, where I was like, I need to be on stage, not back here. Did you have any of those moments?
It's funny you mention that. So in 2005, I was a first AD on a film, and we wanted to do some stunts, and no one had any stunt experience. So a couple of colleagues of mine and a mentor of mine from Towson University, Keith Strandberg, ran a stunt school in upstate New York. So I went and did this 5-day stunt action film academy, as it's called, and I think they're still running it today. But I went and did that, got a certificate, and when I came back, I was still doing AD work or producer work, production manager work, but I was able to choreograph some of the stunts from what I learned from this academy. I had a certification for that, and I was able to make sure everything was safe. I had some of the equipment pads, body pads, and then the other kind of pads for them to fall pads and things of that nature. And a couple of times I did the stunt doubling myself for some actors. We were able to work it around to where I could, hair and makeup and stuff like that.
I mean, just listening to your background, what comes to mind is skills, because it's always important on your resume, whether it's combat skills, stunt skills, accents, etc., that you've got all that to add. In terms of projects you've had locally, what have you done, and has it been the law enforcement officer or the military guy? Can you share a little bit about what you've worked on?
Absolutely. Well, around in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, we've had a number of production companies that produce those crime shows on ID.
Docudramas.
The crime reenactment shows. And for a while, I think it was every other week I was playing a different detective in a different episode of a show, or be a uniformed cop. A couple of times, the producers were familiar with me, and I looked like the real-life guy. They said, hey, can you pull off a stepdad? Or can you pull off... And twice I played the actual perp, because I looked like the guy, and they said, well, we've seen your acting experience, we don't want to typecast you too much, but I told them, please typecast me. I love the work. I'm good at playing a cop or a detective. I love the work. I would love to be typecasted. I'm like that one actor that wants to be typecasted as a cop, always playing a detective.
Yeah.
But I've probably done maybe around 30, anywhere between 30 and 40 of those ID crime show episodes. And it's funny you mentioned the military. So I'm currently in the DC National Guard. So every 6 months as a soldier, whether it be part-time or active duty soldier, we have to do this online course for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And they were filming the new videos for the new online course, and I played in one of the sections of the course. I played a sergeant major who's kind of talking to the camera. Here's a situation you don't want to be in. Here's a situation where you need to step in, kind of like directing the student that's taking the online course on what to do. One of those interactive courses, and I'm just waiting for that to come out and have all my buddies in my unit. Like, okay, Sergeant Major, you got promoted 5 ranks.
Right.
and something like that. So.
Well, I tell you, one of the earlier projects I worked on was a independent film where I had to play somebody that carried a weapon. So I think what I would do is, because I worked in the security industry, I consulted with former law enforcement, federal agents that I worked with, is on how to handle the gun. I mean, that's one thing when you're watching shows, being critical of, you watch people holding it sideways. You ever have those moments where you're like, oh, hold on a second, like maybe one of your fellow actors just isn't handling the weapon properly?
Yep.
And I'm sure they're all, stock weapons. They're not real weapons or staged weapons, but I mean, that's something I think as a consultant, you're active National Guard. Have you thought about that, or have you been hired for any projects like that where you're the firearm consultant, for example?
Well, me and a couple of colleagues did start military-entertainment-consulting.com, where we do just that. Show people how to stand at attention or parade rest, show people how to properly salute, how to properly hold weapons, maybe advise the screenwriter or the director on lingo. Like there's certain slang that we use now that we might they didn't use in the 80s, and the writer has like old 80s or even 60s or World War II lingo in a modern script. So, we don't really say that anymore. We say this, that, and the other thing. There've been a couple of gigs where I was, say, a detective, and it was an acting gig, and I just offered my advice freely. There were a couple of gigs that I was booked as a consultant, some independent projects where, they asked. I was on there to advise on, it was military stuff. There was one cop thing and one military thing where it was how to salute, how to stand at attention, and then there was another one. I pretty much was like showing people how to breach a door and how to hold a weapon. And,
Right.
And
I mean, it is serious work if you're in that line of work. It's not like they make it out to be in the movies, so to speak.
I think they're doing a lot better these days. I've seen a lot of shows where they're killing it, and then I still see a lot of modern shows that have come out in the last couple of years, and they're still biffing it.
Yeah. Now you're a member of Dragonut Connects.
I am.
You've gotten a lot of work being a member?
In this area, I've gotten most of my work off Dragonut. I have a basic membership. Considering going to the full bonus plus membership, but I have a basic membership. It's free. I'm able to put up a number of headshots, and that's been all my acting. I'd say 95% of my acting in this area, a little bit in Delaware, Philly, some out in Richmond, a couple of gigs in New York I had, all off of Dragonut.
Okay.
And it was a blessing. And the first thing I tell other actors on these gigs, Dragonut.
Right.
Especially, I know it's mostly regional, mostly like East Coast, I guess from New York down to maybe Florida. I've seen some Florida and Southern state stuff on there too.
Yeah. How did you find out? Was it you got an acting gig somehow? You were on the set.
Yeah. So
like we all found out.
In the summer of 2015, I came back from Kuwait. I was there for 9 months in Kuwait, and that's when I got the acting bug because some of my colleagues jumped into acting. And I found an acting gig on one of the crime shows, on one of the Sirens Media ID crime shows on Craigslist. And so I'm on set, I'm talking to some of the other guys. The first thing I said was, how did you book this? And they said, Dragonut Connects. And, it was funny. They said, it's spelled Dragon, UK, Connects. I was like, is he British? And he goes, no, that's just his last name.
Right.
And Dragonut. And so I went in there, set up a membership. It's free. And it was just gig after gig after gig after gig. Just took a camera, made some quick headshots, and the people were booking me left and right for the law enforcement.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, have you built up any part of your contact information outside of that? Like, you have a Twitter handle or anything like that, Facebook page?
Oh, yeah.
Or just strictly Dragonut Connects?
Well, number one is Glenn Nelson. I guess so you go to Dragonut and you look up Glenn Nelson, you should be able to find me. It's at Glenn Eric Nelson at Twitter. It's at Dead On Pictures. I have my own production company, Dead On Pictures. So it's at Dead On Pictures on Instagram, Dead On Pictures on Facebook, Dead On Pictures on YouTube. Got a number of indie projects and some passion projects, YouTube series going on YouTube. And I even used Dragonut to cast a couple of indie shorts that I produced. And this one, so I have 2 web series going on YouTube with some colleagues of mine. And we booked a couple of voiceover actors and a couple of other actors for it. But the basic premise is, since I've worked on all these crime shows, these ID crime shows, crime recreeds, I came up with the idea that what would these ID shows, these crime reenactment shows on ID be about if it took place within the Marvel universe or within the DC universe?
Okay.
So if Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent or Jim Gordon, Commissioner of Gotham PD, were to go home and watch ID, these episodes would be about the Riddler or the Joker.
Okay.
And so we produced a fictional crime show that takes place about the Green Goblin, or that's Marvel, or Joker or Riddler in the DC universe. And we got a couple of actors that play. So we got the talking head actors that play Jim Gordon or Jeremiah Arkham, or SHIELD agents that are talking to somebody off camera, like the criminologists do. We have a couple of voiceover actors, and we're working on getting some actors together to do the reenactment parts, the crime reenactment parts, the dramatic reenactments.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is fantastic. Definitely want to learn more. Will we have an opportunity? Can you show us some of your clips?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. If you look up Dead On Pictures on YouTube, and you can check it out on YouTube.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to be right back, and we're going to take a look.
In a way.
Dear me, you're older and wiser.
Evil is found where it's least expected.
Megan!
Megan's stepfather returns home from work expecting she'll be in her room studying, just as she does every day after school.
Megan! Megan!
His heart is instantly shattered when he realizes that her still angelic face is lifeless.
She's not breathing.
He calls 911 and cries the words of any parent's worst nightmare.
Just trying to get some information.
But Megan's grieving parents think they know exactly who took their daughter's life.
Well, we think it's this guy, Brian.
Family friend.
All right, welcome back. We're here with producer, filmmaker, actor Glenn Nelson. We're talking about his Sinister Infinite, which the premise is using the DC and Marvel comics universe for do crime reenaction. This is hot stuff right now.
Yeah.
I know you brought some clips. Let's go to one of these clips.
Elias Wortham, also known as Cardiac, has been affiliated with Parker Industries and the Heart Clinic. His abilities include an accomplished physician and surgeon, superhuman strength, enhanced speed, agility, reflexes and endurance, regeneration, wields a pulse staff, rides a beta-propelled Stingray hang glider, and the ability to channel beta particles by way of a neural web from his vibranium mesh skin.
Cardiac is a known vigilante. Wortham is a physician, surgeon, and the owner and administrator of a biological research firm.
Elias Wortham is driven by his brother's death to research life-saving medical practices.
His brother Joshua's death was a result of corporate greed, who had had a cure for his condition ready, but failed to distribute the medicine due to lack of profitability at the time. Hence his resentment toward corporations.
As a part of his research, Elias replaced his heart with a beta particle reactor, which supplies energy throughout his body, in addition to a vibranium weave mesh under his skin.
This energy, channeled through his muscles, increases his speed, agility, reflexes, and can also be fired through his fists or power staff he wields.
He adopts the moniker Cardiac in reference to the source of his power. Cardiac became a vigilante, believing himself an instrument of justice.
He first encounters Spider-Man while raiding Saprodyne Chemicals, a company owned by Justin Hammer, which possesses chemicals vital for the production of cocaine.
Hammer hires the Rhino to kill Cardiac for raiding his company, but Cardiac defeats Rhino.
Next, Cardiac destroys the house and property of Albert Bruckner, a corrupt S&L broker, and then attacked a subsidiary of Stain International that manufactured dangerous electronic dolls for children.
He invaded Stain International to destroy designs for a sonic missile that produced the effects of nerve gas.
Cardiac targets a filmmaker whose film is indirectly responsible for a boy murdering his family.
However, Cardiac incidentally encounters Sticks and Stone and is inadvertently embroiled in a fight between Sticks and Stone and Spider-Man.
At different times fighting each of them. Cardiac eventually cooperates with Spider-Man, and together they defeat Sticks and Stone.
Afterward, Spider-Man attempts to restrain Cardiac, but he escapes. Cardiac returns periodically to perform his version of justice.
He will not hesitate to kill criminals, but is often bothered by his conscience that he has to.
Cardiac later targeted a shipment of drugs and again encounters Spider-Man. After defeating the hero, he destroys the shipment, saying that he wasn't there to destroy a misguided hero.
Cardiac helps Nightwatch to take down a corrupt corporation which gave him his powers.
Cardiac also confronts Johnny Blaze and Ghost Rider during Blaze's mission to rescue his missing son from an evil corporation.
When Wolverine seemingly goes on a rampage after falling under the influence of an alien, Cardiac is one of the many superheroes who attempts to stop him.
Pairing with Solo does not help, as they are both swiftly defeated.
Now that's some good stuff. You've got my interest, and I think you'll have some viewers' interest on that.
I hope so.
What else do you have in the can?
Well, I've done a whole number of music videos right on the same channel. I have a podcast going on, and that's called Technological. You can find that on YouTube as well, Technological LP. Me and a co-producer put together a podcast, and we talk with a lot of other freelancers, whether it be audio visual work, film and TV, actors, anybody that's full-time freelance, part-time freelance that is just working and living gig by gig, week by week on this project and that project, and working to make a name for themselves, but work for themselves, really.
Right.
And so that's called Freelance Freestyle, and that's one podcast we have, and we just kind of like do the best we can to expand ourselves on YouTube.
Well, let's take a look. Hold on one second.
Okay.
You've got a music video clip. Let's take a look.
Was off the hook, man. Penny Raiders and all that, all but lost, man. We connected in the basement, laid some fresh tracks. Now you're up for replacement. Can't forget that. No show for your video. What's the story, yo? Getting trapped in Iowa, now it's in the story, yo.
Scotty let you all soft, man. I'm taking this as a personal diss. Scratching Kevin Michael Hoffman off my list. Now you taking the diss like a gay porno star is taking a fist. Now it's time to smack a bitch. I got an itch to slam you down like a fit. You pour the cameo on Skype, now get the off the mic. You still broke as fuck with no hoe. Thanks for the no show, bro. It's dead bleeding out your stereo.
I'm telling you, you've got a lot of talent in the can there. Great video. What else do you have? You've got to have something else. I know that one of your favorite projects was a commercial you did locally.
Oh, yeah.
It's been on the air. Tell us a little bit about that.
So through Dragonuck, I booked this plumbing commercial for Magnolia Plumbing, and it was great paying. It was a great day rate up front, and there was a little bit of residuals here and there. But the biggest thing was it's been on TV maybe 80 times a day, every day for the last 2 years. My wife still gets texts from her friends. I just saw the commercial again. And we don't have cable, so for the longest we never got a chance to see the commercial. But me and my wife, we just stream. We have Hulu and Netflix and just internet-only based streaming platforms.
Right.
But finally, I think about 2 months ago, my wife and I were watching something on Hulu, and they do have local commercials, and we finally saw the commercial.
Yeah.
And this thing is still airing, and it's on every day.
So it paid well.
A little bit.
I guess why hold back? Did anything else coming up commercial-wise?
Once again, through Dragonuck, I just booked a car commercial, which I think is coming up in a week or two. And I think it's just a one-day gig, but hopefully it's one of these car commercials that's on TV every day, and people see the pretty face.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the idea, right?
Absolutely.
Glenn the plumber, not to be confused with Len the plumber. Magnolia Plumbing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Everybody even asked me, "Oh, the plumbing commercial, is that Len the plumber?" No, it's Magnolia. But yeah.
Now, how often are you looking at the daily feeds, Dragonuck Connect?
Yes.
And so now with all these projects that you're getting and you're booking, you've got to update that resume. So anything that you take off? I mean, as you try to shape this and mold it?
Well, it's been a little bit of things here and there, and I'm waiting. Of course, you got to wait for the latest project to come out, and that's when I feel comfortable and honest enough to put it on the resume. So I really haven't touched my acting resume in a while because there was a whole bunch of big things where I had a lot of dialogue, I had a lot of screen time, and then a couple of smaller things where it was maybe a feature role or it was a supporting role, but it just wasn't meaty enough. But there is this episode, Relatively Evil, I believe the show's called. It's my episode should be coming out in late October on ID, and after I see the final cut and see how they utilize my work, I'll probably add that to it. And yeah, there are times where when I first started, I was just throwing everything on the resume.
Right.
You got to fill the resume up. But now I am kind of getting selective with what I put on the resume, and it feels pretty good to be at that level. And I'm definitely going to be adding some stuff off.
Well, you're quite the threat because you've got the production talent, you're a director, you're a producer, you're casting, you're talent. So any of the folks that are out there just getting started that just joined Dragonette Connect, what advice would you give them? Because you've been doing this for a number of years now and utilizing that website.
Yeah.
But what's the best advice maybe you received or what you would pass on to someone else that's just getting going on this?
I actually give this advice a lot, but what's helped me as an actor not getting frustrated or bored or irritated on set, sitting around and waiting for an hour or 2 hours to get back to shooting a scene or the next scene is because I've been a crew, because I have directed, or because I have manned a camera and I know how long it takes to light, I know how long it takes for the sound guy to put mics on somebody, I know how long it takes to wait for the sun to set, or whatever little things you need to make the scene perfect, to set your shots and things of that nature. I've been on both sides. So as a director, I know what an actor needs, and as an actor, I know what the crew's waiting for and what the director needs. So with a lot of these up-and-coming actors that are, how do I get on set more? I tell them apply for PA gigs, apply for PA jobs as a production assistant. And the first thing that comes to their mind is like, oh, I'm not trying to go get coffee all day for people. And it's not only that. I mean, you're going to be on set and you might be, running around moving props around, or you might be putting up lights as a production assistant. You might be doing wires, but you're going to get a taste of what it's like behind the camera. And when you were a grumpy actor or a grumpy extra sitting around doing nothing for 3 hours and then shoot for an hour and then do nothing for 3 hours and shoot, you understand why. You have more of an appreciation. Plus, you're going to fill in that schedule of work because as an actor getting extra roles or background roles or even featured extra roles at 150 to 250 a day, as a PA you would get 250 a day, but you're going to get an idea of what it's like as a crew member behind the camera, setting the shot or trying to make the set quiet enough so it's decent production sound or whatever the case may be. So that's my number one advice is pick up some PA gigs and fill in the schedule and get a taste of what a set's like.
Right. Well, Glenn, that's great advice, folks. What a threat you are. Wish you continued success. Glenn, thank you again. That's it for Top of the Morning. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.